Now they hunted men there. The thicket was one of birch trees, beeches and oaks, the ground flat. The thick moss and grass deadened the sound of the men's steps. There were no paths, or only blind ones, which quickly disappeared among the holly, wild sloes, ferns, hedges of rest harrow, and high brambles. It would have been impossible to distinguish a man 10 steps off. Now and then a heron or a moorhen flew through the branches, indicating the neighbourhood of marshes. They pushed forward. They went at random, with uneasiness, fearing to find that which they sought. From time to time they came upon traces of encampments, burned spots, trampled grass, sticks arranged crosswise, branches stained with blood. Here soup had been made, there mass had been said, yonder they had dressed wounds. But all human beings had disappeared. Where were they? Very far off, perhaps quite near, hidden, blunderbuss in hand. The wood seemed deserted. The regiment redoubled its prudence, solitude, hence distrust. They saw no one, so much more reason for fearing someone. They had to do with a forest with a bad name. An ambush was probable. 30 grenadiers, detached as scouts and commanded by a sergeant, marched at a considerable distance in front of the main body. The vivandière of the battalion accompanied them. The vivandières willingly join the vanguard. They run risks, but they have the chance of seeing whatever happens. Curiosity is one of the forms of feminine bravery. Suddenly the soldiers of this little advance party started like hunters who have neared the hiding place of their prey. They'd heard something like a breathing from the centre of a thicket, and seemed to perceive a movement among the branches. The soldiers made signals. In the species of watch and search confided to scouts, the officers have small need to interfere. The right thing seems done by instinct. In less than a minute the spot where the movement had been noticed was surrounded. A line of pointed muskets encircled it. The obscure centre of the thicket was covered on all sides at the same instant. The soldiers, finger on trigger, eye on the suspected spot, only waited for the sergeant's order. Notwithstanding this, the vivandière ventured to peer through the underbrush, and at the moment when the sergeant was about to cry fire, this woman cried, "Halt!" Turning toward the soldiers, she added, "Do not fire, comrades." She plunged into the thicket. The men followed. There was, in truth, someone there. In the thickest of the brake, on the edge of one of those little round clearings left by the fires of the charcoal burners, in a sort of recess among the branches, a kind of chamber of foliage, half open like an alcove, a woman was seated on the moss, holding to her breast a nursing babe, while the fair heads of 2 sleeping children rested on her knees. This was the ambush. "What are you doing here, you?" cried the vivandière. The woman lifted her head. The vivandière added furiously, "Are you mad that you are there? A little more and you would have been blown to pieces." Then she addressed herself to the soldiers. "It is a woman." "Well, that is plain to be seen," said a grenadier. The vivandière continued, "To come into the wood to get yourself massacred. The idea of such stupidity." The woman, stunned, petrified with fear, looked about like one in a dream, at these guns, these sabres, these bayonets, these savage faces. The 2 children awoke and cried. "I'm hungry," said the first. "I'm afraid," said the other. The baby was still suckling. The vivandière addressed it. "You are in the right of it," said she. The mother was dumb with terror. The sergeant cried out to her, "Do not be afraid. We are the battalion of the Bonnet Rouge." The woman trembled from head to foot. She stared at the sergeant, of whose rough visage there was nothing visible but the moustaches, the brows, and 2 burning coals for eyes. "Formerly the battalion of the Red Cross," added the vivandière. The sergeant continued, "Who are you, madame?" The woman scanned him, terrified. She was slender, young, pale, and in rags. She wore the large hood and woolen cloak of the Breton peasant, fastened about her neck by a string. She left her bosom exposed with the indifference of an animal. Her feet, shoeless and stockingless, were bleeding. "It's a beggar," said the sergeant. The vivandière began anew, in a voice at once soldierly and feminine, but sweet. "What is your name?" The woman stammered so that she was scarcely intelligible. "Michel Fléchard." The vivandière stroked the little head of the sleeping babe with her large hand. "What is the age of this mite?" demanded she. The mother did not understand. The vivandière persisted. "I ask you, how old is it?" "Ah," said the mother, 18 months. "It is old," said the vivandière. "It ought not to suckle any longer. You must wean it. We'll give it soup." The mother began to feel a certain confidence. The two children, who had awakened, were rather curious than scared. They admired the plumes of the soldiers. "Ah," said the mother, "they're very hungry." Then she added, "I have no more milk." "We'll give them something to eat," cried the sergeant, "and you too, but that's not all. What are your political opinions?" The woman looked at him but did not reply. "Did you hear my question?" she stammered. "I was put into a convent very young, but I'm married. I'm not a nun. The sisters taught me to speak French. The village was set on fire. We ran away so quickly that I had not time to put on my shoes." "I ask you, what are your political opinions?" "I don't know what that means." The sergeant continued, "There are such things as female spies. We shoot spies. Come, speak. You're not a gypsy. Which is your side?" She still looked at him as if she did not understand. The sergeant repeated, "Which is your side?" "I do not know," she said. "How? You do not know your own country?" "Ah, my country. Oh, yes, I know that." "Well, where is it?" The woman replied, "The farm of Ciscoignat, in the parish of Azay." It was the sergeant's turn to be stupefied. He remained thoughtful for a moment, then resumed, "You say Ciscoignat." "That's not a country." "It is my country," said the woman, and added after an instant's reflection, "I understand, sir. You are from France. I belong to Brittany." "Well, it's not the same neighbourhood." "But it's the same country," cried the sergeant. The woman only repeated, "I am from Ciscoignat." "Ciscoignat be it," returned the sergeant. "Your family belong there?" "Yes." "What is their occupation?" "They're all dead. I have nobody left." The sergeant, who thought himself a fine talker, continued his interrogatories. "What? The devil? One has relations, or one has had. Who are you? Speak." The woman listened, astounded by this. "Or one has had," which was more like the growl of an animal than any human sound. The vivandière felt the necessity of interfering. She began again to caress the babe and to pat the cheeks of the two other children. "How do you call the baby?" she asked. "It is a little girl, this one." The mother replied, "Georgette." "And the eldest fellow? For he is a man, the small rascal." "René Jean." "And the younger? He's a man, too, and chubby-faced into the bargain." "Causelin," said the mother. "They're pretty little fellows," said the vivandière. "They already look as if they were somebody." Still the sergeant persisted. "Now speak, madame. Have you a house?" "I had one." "Where was it?" "At Azay." "Why are you not in your house?" "Because they burned it." "Who?" "I do not know. A battle." "Where do you come from?" "From there." "Where are you going?" "I don't know." "Get to the facts. Who are you?" "I don't know." "You don't know who you are?" "We are people who are running away." "What party do you belong to?" "I don't know." "Are you blues? Are you whites? Who are you with?" "I am with my children." There was a pause. The vivandière said, "As for me, I have no children. I have not had time." The sergeant began again. "But your parents. See, here, madame, give us the facts about your parents. My name is Radoub. I am a sergeant from the street of Cherche-Midi. My father and mother belong there. I can talk about my parents. Tell us about yours. Who were they?" "Their name was Fléchard. That is all." "Yes, the Fléchards are the Fléchards, just as the Radoubs are the Radoubs. But people have a calling. What was your parents' calling? What was